It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That, of course, brand new music from Axel Rudi Pell. That is from the new album, The Night's Call. And on the line right now, we have the great guitarist and the namesake of the band, the mighty Axel Rudi Pell. Axel, how are you, man?
Hi, Chris. I'm great, thank you. And thank you very much for having me back again.
Sure, man. No doubt about it, man. But there's no reason not to, because it seems like every year you just crank out another great dose of tunes, man. And yet again, Night's Call, excellent release.
Oh, thank you very much. Because, that's happening because I'm a genius now.
Well, I don't know that I'd go as far as genius, but I will definitely go as far as prolific. You are one of the most consistent, prolific writers out there, man. And I can't even figure out how it is that you and the band keep consistently coming up with great releases without releasing any clunkers. I mean, from album to album, there's no songs where you're just like, maybe I'll skip this one, and there's no deviation from what you do, which is quite an accomplishment.
Thank you very much. That's very nice to hear. I think the same. Yes, absolutely. I can agree 100%. No
doubt, man. Well, let's talk about Night's Call a little bit. The one thing that stands out to me with this record, not that, like I said, they don't really change a ton from record to record, but this one seems a little bit more upbeat for you guys. I mean, it doesn't have as many ebbs and flows as some of the other ones. Were you just in a more faster mode this time than maybe other records?
Yes, a little bit, because, the magic was in the air once again. But, from the beginning, when I started writing the songs, it was in my mind to get this new album, to have it a little straighter, a little rocky, a little more rocky than the one before, less ballad things, but still ARP style, but a little more straight edge up to the front. We pushed the drums a little bit more, and the guitars are a little wider. The sound is a little tougher, so I really like that.
No doubt. And as always, your singer, Johnny Gioli, just steps up to the plate and hits a home run, as he always does.
That's absolutely right. He's a brilliant singer, probably one of the top 3 hard rock vocalists all over the world, So I'm really proud having him in the band. He's great.
Sure. Now, speaking of Johnny, real quick, he's not the first great singer that you've worked with before. I mean, you've worked with other greats. The one that jumps out in my head is Jeff Scott Soto, who is an amazing vocalist as well. When you work with singers of that talent level that are different than the average singer, does it force you to write a little bit to their strengths, or are you confident that no matter what you develop musically, they'll be able to fill in the blanks with, lyrically and
absolutely, the second choice, definitely, because I don't take care of if anybody could sing it, because I know these guys I'm working with also in the past, the guys like you said, Jeff Scott Soto, Rob, Charlie, and now Johnny. They know how to handle their voice, But apart from that, I of course know when Johnny told me, Axel, this song is in A, in the key of A. It's a little bit, it's not comfortable for my voice, Can you change it to another key? And of course, it's stuck in my mind, when I write new songs. I say, oh, you don't write that song in A. So that's absolutely no problem. But they're always great. Yes, I love them all.
No doubt. Now, for you personally, Axel, it does seem, and I mean, it seems like it's way late in the game because you've had so many releases to prove yourself, but it seems like more and more people are starting to recognize you not only as a prolific guitarist, but as one of the better players out there. I mean, it just seems like more and more I see your name when people start listing their favorite guitarists. Do you personally feel like you're still growing, or do you think that maybe you've found your approach and you've developed it into being specifically you?
Exactly, because I I don't want to be a guitar hero. I don't call myself a guitar hero. I'm a regular guitar player who's probably able to write good songs, but I'm never writing a song around the solo. The solo is always the last thing, which has to fit to the music. For me, melody is always first, and the riffing is, of course, first. That's more important than having a guitar solo. So, of course, in the past, like 20 years ago, I say, wow, Yngwie Malmsteen can play 1 million notes, in 2 seconds. I want to top it with 1,500,000, So it was a little weird at that time, but, I developed my guitar playing, of course. Now, I don't try to be the fastest guitar player on earth nowadays. There's so many talented guitar players who are technical, much more brilliant than I ever was, but that's not my intention. I want to write good songs, and the rest is okay.
Sure. Do you think that it's fair that a lot of I'll just say fans, but music listeners give that kind of credit though? They'll pick out somebody that can play 1 million notes, like you said, Malmsteen or John Petrucci or whatever, and they'll maybe give them a higher rating because they can play so fast, but they kind of forget the fact that without the songs, you'd never know who they are in the first place.
Exactly. That's what I meant. I'm writing a song, not a song around a solo. So in solo it's important for a song, but not that important. So I feel myself, like I said, just like a normal regular guitar player who is able to write good songs. Yes.
Right. No doubt, man. Well, Axel, as we mentioned a little bit ago, you are one of the most prolific. Axel Rudi Pell, the band. I think I looked on Wikipedia, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I'm going to assume it's pretty close. Shows that you have released an album at least every 18 months for almost 30 years. And
yes, that's right.
That is a ridiculous amount of music, especially in today's age where most bands are taking 6 to 8 years in between records. How do you keep coming up with so many ideas to craft into songs?
Because because the fire inside me is still burning. The passion for music is there, and I'm not sitting there for a couple of weeks and saying now I have to write a new record. That wouldn't work. I couldn't be creative just by pushing the button. So you have to write new songs. So what I do is when I pick up the guitar, just after I left the studio for doing the last record, I pick up the guitar, just jamming a bit for myself, just rehearsing a bit. Suddenly a riff comes to my mind. I say, wow, that's pretty cool, and I always got these little ideas, these bits and pieces on my cell phone recorder, on the voice recorder, Mm-hmm. So, and, I'm always writing and writing and writing. Sometimes I write riffs like when I listen back to say, whoa, now that's not too good, so and erase the track completely. But on the other hand, that's the reason why all my songs are sounding a little fresh and excited because the fire is still there, and I feel comfortable with that way.
Sure. Do you ever worry that the fans won't have enough time to absorb some of the music though? Because I'll be the first one to admit that happens to me sometimes with your music where. I'll point to Game of Sins, which I think is a brilliant record. But it took me until almost, this year before I really fully captured it in my own head. You know what I mean? And you don't give fans any time to say, okay, let me grow with this record. You put one out, and then if you don't get it right away, well, the next one's coming to try that one.
Okay, normally, regularly they have two years of time to let it grow, So if it didn't grow in 2 years, it never grow up on you. So
right. Very true, man. Well, while we're on this topic of working as fast as you do, when you bring new players into the band, which you've had to do from time to time, is that part of the conversation to let these guys know that, hey, if you join this band, there's not going to be any fucking around. We're going to be a machine of writing, playing, touring, repeat, because there really is no breaks, it doesn't seem like, with you.
Oh yeah, I think the others have a lot of break because they are not involved in the writing, So I'm always right by myself, and we don't see each other very often, only a couple of times during a year, when we are in the studio recording together, and then we're going to the rehearsal room just three days before we're going out on the road and play live, So, but that's a thing about this ARP kind of family, all ARP band members, we love each other because we're not together in the whole week. We're not seeing each other like 3 or 4 times a week. When you have a regular band where all members are living in the same city, that's happening when they say, "Oh, okay, another meeting at the rehearsal room." When you're doing that for years and years and years, sometimes you're at the point, which I reached with my band Steeler, of course, too. We're at the point where we say, "I don't want to see the other again. I don't want to feel like rehearsing today, but I have to because I'm part of the band."
Right.
So it's better working that way. So there's one guy writing the songs, and we all get together in the studio, and we have so much fun. When the tour starts in, I think in 5 or 6 weeks, we start another the first leg of the tour. Everybody feels very excited about it. Yeah, let's get back together again with the other guys, and
right.
Everybody has to tell so many stories, funny things and stuff, and we're always very excited to meet each other.
Sure. Now, your current lineup of ARP has been together a little while now. I mean, longer. It's a more longer term than maybe some of the other lineups of the band. Is that important to you, or are you very comfortable because you're working and they're not always with you? Are you comfortable with switching players out, here and there?
No, I'm definitely not feeling comfortable about it because, when, for example, I'm feeling very comfortable with this recent lineup because, the last guy who joined was drummer Bobby Rondinelli.
Right.
He already joined, I think, 5 years ago in 2013. But I think I really love this new incarnation of ARP because everybody's brilliant, I wouldn't change anybody. So, and what happened to the other members is to say, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I can't do the tour, blah, 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 because I have commitments with other bands when I'm involved in, and that's the reason why I said, okay, when you pick up that other band, we say, "This is my favorite band, and I want to play that show," you're out of the band. So it's very easy, so,
Sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. Now, Axel, in addition to your what I'll call your regular releases, you have released these 5 records known as the ballads, and these things are, to me, they might be your best work. I mean, just a lot of the reworkings that you do of songs, and and some of the new stuff that is on there as well is just really, really, really strong music. I'm curious though, when you write songs, do you hear them kind of both ways? Because I know you've reworked some songs that were kind of rock songs and you've turned them into ballads. When is that something that you have? Is that a purposeful process, or do you hear it both ways when you're putting a song together?
I hear it. Let me say it different. When, for example, we recorded the ballad version of Kiss' song "Love Gun." Everybody loved "Love Gun" and everybody knew "Love Gun." So, and I heard it different. I say, "Well, maybe it's a good idea to make a ballad out of it because nobody ever did it before. Even Kiss didn't play that song, as far as I know. So like a ballad. So and." We worked on it. We recorded a demo with that song. I said, "Wow, that's really cool." But before you can cover any Kiss song, which has a completely different arrangement, kind of different approach or style, so we have to send it to the original writers. In this case, it was Paul Stanley, and and my publishing company sent a track to Paul Stanley's publishing company, and they asked him directly, and Paul said, "Wow, that's cool. Yeah, thumbs up, you can do it, So, and after it came out, I said, "Wow, that was really a cool idea," because everybody loved that track, I hear as long. Let me say that when I hear a song, doesn't matter which style. When I hear a song, I say, "Wow, that's a good song. Probably have to at some point we would like to cover it." So I always have this ARP arrangement in my mind, It has nothing to do with only ballads, could be any other song, but sometimes I like to change things to make a hard rock song out of a ballad track, from other guys, sometimes, yeah.
Sure. Are the ballads, do you do those ballad records to keep yourself in that creative place?
Definitely. I mean, at the first place when we released the first Ballads album, I think it was way back in 1993, as far as I remember. It was some kind of experiment because some guy asked me in my neighborhood to say, "Well, you're doing hard rock music. We don't like the music, but can I give it a try? One of your CDs?" And I gave him the CD and listened to that. And the guy said, "Well, it's not my style, but the ballad is really cool. Why don't you release just a ballad for people who love ballads and not your really original hard rock metal or whatever you call it style, you know?" So, and we did it. It was kind of an experiment for myself and for the record company because we couldn't expect that it would be a high seller, you know. So, and then the first record came out, everybody said, "Wow, incredible sales, you know, let's go for the next one in a couple of years, you know."
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt. Now you mentioned that Paul Stanley, gave his stamp of approval on Love Gun. What reaction, if any, did you get from Neil Young or from what's the other one that you guys did, or Phil Collins?
Yeah, no reaction at all. I'm sorry, but I got a reaction from Neil Young's publishing company because we want to have a hell of a lot of money for using that track, which was incredible. So. Yes, and the conversation about Neil Young is over now from my side.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's a great track. I'll say that. I love that, and I know.
Yeah, I love it too.
I've talked to you about that before. Didn't you tell me that that you got the idea to do that from Sons of Anarchy?
That's right. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I saw it. Yes, I saw this. I think it was a third. I don't know. I can't remember when it was, but anyway, a couple of years ago, yes, I saw Son of Anarchy on TV, and there was a piano version for that Hey AMI, another cover version.
Right.
And I really liked the idea to making a piano version out of it and doing a little bit different than the original. But of course, we added the typical ARP style guitars and stuff. Added the guitar solo, another one, and blah blah blah. What else? Whatever.
Sure.
So yes, the original came from that movie. Yes.
No doubt, man. Well, Axel, one of the things that being here in the States, and I'd imagine since you're not here in the States, you probably have an opinion on this, is, it seems like the internet has opened the door for a lot of rock and metal around the world, but here in the States, even though that door is wide open, the audience is not looking like when I was a kid. I'm 49 years old, and when I was a kid, I could not find enough bands that nobody else had heard of. That was almost a mission to me, to find new bands. And it just seems like now, even with all the tools in front of kids, grown-ups, whatever, they don't do it like they used to. Do you see that as a USA thing, or do you see that as a worldwide thing, or not at all?
I really can't tell you anything about it because, I really don't look for any other bands by myself. So maybe the other guy has the same problem. I think it's not only U.S. oriented. Probably it's all over the world. I don't know. Okay,
fair enough. Well, Axel, what's going on with the band for 2018? You getting ready to go tour, or what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. At the moment I'm recently doing a hell of a lot of interviews. So, and then I think in 5 or 6 weeks we start with the first leg of our European tour, which runs through April and May. Then we're back on the road, I think in June for a couple of shows. We're playing different festivals, and we're back in July we're playing. And then the second real leg of the tour starts around October, November. And then the third leg we're still working on, which will take place around February, March, or April 2019. And then we will go back into the studio at the end of 2019 for another album, which will be released in 2020, hopefully. And it's a busy period for myself. Yeah.
No doubt, man. Well, for now, people can go and get the brand new Axel Rudi Pell release. It's called Night's Call. It is fantastic. And Axel has a tradition on the show, and you've done this before. Why don't you pick a song from the new record to wrap this up with, and maybe tell us a quick story about it?
Okay, maybe I just would like to pick up the first real track after the intro. It's called The Wild and the Young. I think it's a very good opening, probably the best opening song I had in the last 10 or 15 years. So I really like it. So, and yeah.
All right. Well, let's check it out right now. Here it is. It's Axel Rudi Pell right here on your Classic Metal Show.